I've seen it happen a lot. People go for the cheapest PTZ camera they can find, set it up for a live stream, and then spend the next hour scrambling because the autofocus drifts, the low-light footage looks grainy, or the zoom just won't hold a speaker's face in focus. The regret is real, and it makes you wonder if a slightly pricier unit could actually save you time and frustration. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. That's exactly the dilemma I faced before I started testing the BirdDog X1 Ultra, a 4K PTZ camera that promises professional-grade results without the studio's eyes price tag. First off, the hesitation around buying a PTZ camera usually comes from three places: the fear of a clunky menu that takes ages to learn, the worry that the sensor won't handle dim menus, and the anxiety that the zoom won't be smooth enough for a presenter moving around. I spent a couple of evenings watching YouTube unboxings and reading the technical specs. Then I pulled the X1 Ultra into a real-world setting, a small community theater that streams its productions to a local Facebook page. The goal was simple: capture a 4K picture of a stage lit mostly by practical lights, keep the focus locked on the lead actor as they walked from left to right, and switch between a wide shot and a tight close-up without any hiccups. What struck me first was how the camera handled the menu. BirdDog has opted for a clean, touchscreen-driven interface that feels more like a modern DSLR than a traditional PTZ unit. You can toggle between presets, adjust the 12x optical zoom, and enable NDI HX3 with just a few taps. There's no labyrinth of submenus. The most common settings are on the main screen, and the on-screen help icons pop up when you hover over an option. For someone who's never touched a PTZ before, the learning curve is gentle enough to get a live stream up and running in under 10 minutes. That's a big win if you're a church tech team or a hobbyist who doesn't have a full production crew. Autofocus confidence is where many PTZ cameras stumble, especially when the lighting changes quickly. The X1 Ultra uses a Sony 1/2-inch CH sensor, which is a step up from the 1/3-inch CH chips you see in entry-level models. In the theater test, the camera locked onto the actor's face instantly and stayed locked even as a spotlight swept across the stage. I tried a quick walk-and-talk segment where the presenter moved from a well-lit backstage area into a dimmer side-stage. The focus didn't hunt, it simply adjusted within a fraction of a second, keeping the image sharp. If you've ever watched a live stream where the presenter's face blurs every time they shift position, this camera feels like a breath of fresh air. Low light behavior is another practical concern. The Sony sensor, combined with a fairly wide 4.1 to 4 mm focal range, gave a clean image at around 120 ISO without introducing the heavy noise you see on cheaper 1080p PTZ units. I cranked the exposure a notch higher for a rehearsal in a dimly lit rehearsal hall, and the result still held detail in the shadows without looking washed out. It's not a cinema-grade sensor that can pull a full moon into a clean picture, but for typical indoor events, weddings, worship services, corporate talks, it provides a level of clarity that makes the footage look ready for post. That's a practical strength if you plan to upload the video directly to YouTube or a paid content platform without extensive grading. Stabilization isn't a headline feature on PTZ cameras because the unit is usually mounted on a tripod or ceiling rig, but the X1 Ultra's zoom mechanism is impressively smooth. The 12x optical zoom moves in fluid, almost silent increments, which is essential when you're switching from a wide auditorium shot to a close-up of a speaker's hands. There's no jitter that you'd notice on a low-budget PTZ with a stepper motor. In practice, I could program a preset that zoomed from 1.5 to 12 as the presenter walked to the podium, and the transition looked professional enough that viewers didn't realize a single camera was doing the whole job. Connectivity is where the X1 Ultra really tries to future-proof itself. It offers HDMI, a USB-C UVC 1.1 output, and Ethernet ports that support NDI HX3, a low-latency video over IP protocol that's become a standard for livestream workflows. In the theater test, I ran the camera's video over a standard 1 gigabit per second network to a laptop running OBS, and the latency stayed under 150 milliseconds, even at 4K. That means you can place the camera far from the streaming PC without worrying about lag, which is a big advantage for venues where you need to hide the camera on a ceiling or a faraway wall. The Ethernet control also lets you pan, tilt, and zoom from any device on the same network, so a producer can make adjustments from the control room while the talent stays on stage. Battery competence is a common worry for portable PTZ units, but the X1 Ultra doesn't.